Yaps. It's in the name. 2024 is Bangladesh. 2025 was Nepal. 2026 is Mexico. Everywhere is fuss and fuss. Dude, 2025 was more than Nepal. We had Indonesia. We had South Korea. Dude, 2025, there was so many. That was, which one? I guess Ukraine and Russia started a while ago. Buy YouTube Premium? Never.
That single question changed my life.
Until YouTube is paying the bills completely, I will not get Premium.
India, its politics, and particularly its people. At first, all I saw was a sharp contrast. When I scrolled through social media or read the mainstream media, Modi was characterized as a bigoted nationalist, a fascist, a Nazi. Some people even called him a Hindu Hitler. On the flip side, my relatives, whether inside or outside of India, were raving about him. Initially, I shrugged it off as crazy WhatsApp uncle and auntie rants. But they had a type of vibe that was just contagious. It felt like there was something deeper in their energy. So I started digging. The data from the Modi government claimed massive progress on things like infrastructure, growth, welfare, and even something as mundane as toilet construction.
Probably because they're doing a good job for the city and getting at least infrastructure done.
Modi's
increase the volume.
Claimed he was cooking the books and that all this was fake. So then I started talking.
Why do I need YouTube Premium? To get rid of the ads?
First on Reddit, then on Twitter, and eventually I traveled across India myself, asking people about their views and seeing how the country had changed since Modi came to power. The last and most crucial piece of the puzzle was also the most concrete: election results. Modi and the BJP kept winning and winning and winning, just again and again. So whether you hate him or love him,
I use Opera
something
GX.
special going on here. And I think by grasping the tale of Narendra Modi's rise, you'll not only understand Modi, but you will understand India itself. So here's what I found. After years of research and conversation, trying to find out the answer to that pivotal question: why is Narendra Modi so popular?
Yes, why is the tea merchant so popular? Man had good hair genes all the way back in the day.
Modi's popularity, you kind of have to do like a therapy session here.
Okay.
You have to examine his childhood. Modi was born in a tiny town in the West Indian state of Gujarat. He was born in a very poor and lower caste family. His father ran a small tea stall at the local railway station. As a child, Modi helped out at the stall as well.
That's
crazy. As he grew older, he came into contact with an organization called the Rashtriya Swayamsevak Sangh, or the RSS. Now the RSS is controversial. Critics call it a Hindu far-right paramilitary group. Supporters call it a volunteer movement that unites Hindus across caste and class.
And what does my chat have to say? How do you guys feel about the RSS?
For a young Modi, it was simply a place to learn discipline, service, and nationalism. Quick sidebar, to understand India, you have to understand that nationalism doesn't mean like fascist or Nazi parties or
It's just pride in your country.
Secular leaders like Gandhi, Nehru, and Bose were called nationalists during their time. Even in modern
He's
India,
got that motion online, huh?
Used as a replacement for the word patriotism. Keep this nuance in mind, and
that's a fair nuance different for sure.
Let's get back to the story. Yet Modi was not just interested in nationalism or Hinduism from a political perspective. He was genuinely religious. So much so that Modi left home to travel across India as a renunciate for a few years. While Modi would learn
What's a renunciate? What does that mean? Like a monk?
Sojourn, his journey would end in a disappointment. After arriving at a monastery and asking its head to be ordained as a monk, the head guru rejected him, telling him that his destiny lays elsewhere, in the service of something greater. But even with that glimmer of future greatness, Modi was dejected.
He's not the best, but the best we've ever had.
RSS, becoming a full-time volunteer. His talent in organizing and recruitment eventually led the RSS to send him to work in the Bharatiya Janata Party.
RSS is in a gray zone, sort of inspired by Hitler, but not as radical. They do good work.
He proved to be a master strategizer. Here's an example. In his home state of Gujarat, the BJP was struggling. The Congress Party had dominated elections for decades. Modi, along with a trusted comrade named Amit Shah, engineered a tactic that you could still see in Indian politics today.
You could be like Modi and sell tea, get enough money to buy the phone, and then you're fine. Or you could sell tea and then have enough money to buy the factory and produce the phones, and now you don't have to worry about your phone getting stolen ever again. Just saying.
In various districts in Gujarat, Modi and Shah would find the second most powerful political leader,
And then you
or
could
a
be
leader
Modi
coming from
2.0.
an underrepresented community. They would rally smaller communities and disaffected voters around this number too. And eventually they would flip the seats by creating a strong enough coalition of counter-consolidation. The BJP would swarm across Gujarat with this tactic, expanding their base and catapulting themselves into power for the first time as they won the 1995 elections. And by 2001, Modi himself had become chief minister.
That's crazy.
And it's this
Modi
chief
with
ministership
black
that really
eyebrows.
built brand
The young Modi.
Modi's Gujarat rapidly developed, so much so that Modi began pitching the Gujarat model for all of India. Gujarat was known for its development of infrastructure, entrepreneurship, and also Hindu nationalism. And it's that last aspect that is a double-edged sword for Modi, especially after what happened in 2002. But we'll talk about that later when the time is right.
What happened in 2002?
What matters now is understanding that Modi's initial popularity comes not only from the success
What
of
shoot
Gujarat,
data were you
but also
doing?
from his humble origins.
What does that mean?
And intimate understanding of the Indian masses, something he gained from his travels as an ascetic and volunteering in the RSS. Modi's poverty-stricken background, his devotion to his religion and nation, and his commitment to economic development all combined to create a powerful package come 2014, when he would gallivant into power at the center, crushing the Congress Party, which had become embroiled with controversies around corruption, inflation, and minority favoritism, as Modi was now elected as the Prime Minister.
Gujarat is
of
the
India.
major, yeah.
And it's here where we start to see why Indians truly become enamored with Modi.
The welfare king, huh?
In 2014, Modi represented different things to different people. Libertarians thought he would be the love child of Margaret Thatcher and Ronald Reagan, ushering in massive economic reforms to take India away from its decades-long affair with socialism. Others saw him as someone who would convert secular India into a Hindu state. Another group just wanted him to develop India like he did Gujarat, attracting businesses and investment. But Modi chose a different path. And that's because Modi learned from the past. You see, almost a decade back, another BJP politician named Atal Bihari Vajpayee lost an election that he seemed destined to win. Vajpayee conducted economic reforms.
The Hindu-Muslim riots happened in 2002, so I'm assuming the Muslims and Hindus clashed between each other.
Kept a disciplined budget to clean up
Whereas
bad debt,
Geeky, he was
and
the one
ran
who
a very centrist
recommended this
government.
video.
But the issue was that the masses wouldn't feel the effects
Yep,
of these
he's probably
reforms until
studying.
years later. So
Probably at
average
school.
Indians were still suffering economically. Thus, Vajpayee lost, and Modi learned a lesson. Politics is about power, and being in power means pleasing the people. The Modi government began to overhaul India's welfare system. Previously, welfare would trickle down through greedy middlemen, who would naturally shave off a cut before it reached the poor. Modi wanted
Absolutely.
to shave off these middlemen themselves, so he began a process of digitization and formalization of the entire government and financial system, not just welfare. In a controversial
Interesting.
move, Modi ordered a sudden mandatory exchange of various rupee notes. All Indians had to go to banks and exchange their old notes for new versions. Many Indians did not have bank accounts though, so millions of people opened an account for the first time through a government program called Jan Dhan. Modi stated
Wow.
that this move was the first strike in a war against corruption and black money. And while the results are mixed on that front, the people took it well. They saw it as an honest attempt to
I would say whenever you're going to do a wide sweeping change like that, there's no way it always goes completely smoothly. There's always going to be hiccups. There's going to be bumps in the road. But so long that you can keep those to a minimum, you'll get some pushback, some friction for a few years, but then it'll be normal place and the issue will be resolved. You gotta be strong enough to make it through a couple of years of friction.
fight classic Indian corruption. But
You're
what's
glad that
more
happened?
impactful here is the
Yeah,
digitization
that-
that occurred.
that's
Cash shortages meant
definitely a
Indians
good
would
thing.
utilize an emerging digital ecosystem called India Stack, developed in coordination by the Modi government and private players. While India Stack provided the foundation for digital ID, payments, and more, concurrently, India experienced a mobile revolution with Jio, a super low-cost telecom service launched around the same time, so people could run all their finances from their phones. Instead of using cash, Indians would scan
What would I
QR
do if
codes
I become the
through
Prime
their
Minister of
phones to
India?
pay for goods and services through a government program called UPI. One's UPI would be connected to newly opened bank accounts, offering seamless payment and accurate measurement of funds. The entire process would be called JAM, an acronym that stands for Jan Dhan, which gave banking access, Aadhaar, a form of
I would focus on infrastructure. Probably instead of the digitization of money, I'd probably go into the cryptocurrency of money. And then I would go focus on like social programs for civic sense and health and fitness and try to get like CrossFit and try to get like the CrossFit games to do an event in Gujarat or Punjab.
digital ID to verify payments and other digital use cases.
You get unlimited internet for under $3. Is that good? That's excellent. I get the same amount, but for like $71 a month.
And mobile, which services as a medium for digital interactions. Today, over 520 million Indians have opened a Jan Dhan bank account, There are over 20 billion transactions on UPI a month, dwarfing Visa and MasterCard. GAM transformed Indian commerce, birthing billions of dollars worth of industries and also expanding financial inclusion and formalization in a way most Indians could never imagine. So where does the welfare actually come in here? Well, now that Indians had their own secure bank accounts free from the clutches of shady politicians and gundas or gangster middlemen, the government could send them benefits directly.
Yeah, but from what I know in America, the banks themselves now, they're, I don't want to say they're the middlemen, but they're just as corrupt and they're just as fugazi as these corrupt middlemen. The corrupt middlemen got corrupted from saying how corrupt the banks were.
Something called direct benefit transfer, or DBT. DBT meant the government skipping the corrupt middleman to directly deposit welfare in one's Jan Dhan bank accounts. This program saved $33 billion across 320 government programs by cutting the infamously corrupt leakages. In this way, DBT is like India's own Doge. Through these savings, Modi delivered more welfare through many existing and new schemes like subsidies for gas connections, farmer income support for 100 million people, rural employment wages, and COVID relief. But it wasn't just raw rupees that the government gave. Using the newly mandatory unique ID of Aadhaar, Modi delivered a lot of basics like over 20 million free housing units.
He lives in America.
Over 100 million cooking gas
Not like he lives in India.
Establishing free tap water connections, free electricity connections, even things like subsidized loans for women entrepreneurs or the world's largest insurance scheme in Ayushman Bharat, which covers 500 million people's healthcare. All these things are massively transformational for the average Indian.
It is.
The simultaneously shameful but extremely necessary promotion and construction of toilets to stop open defecation. Something finally achieved in 2019.
Well, I know that because I'm assuming America because of the accent, but he said that he went over to India. He visited India, meaning that he doesn't live there, and presumably he came back.
For decades, India's out.
And he mentioned his family that lives over there. And normally when you say over there, that's a haul. That's a far distance.
Touch elites didn't address something so basic.
Just reading in between the lines.
Background did. And I could keep firing off statistics about efficiency and welfare access like a machine gun. But the big takeaway here is that Modi gave hundreds of millions of Indians basic human dignity. And you cannot put a price on that.
Somewhere in the Midwest or even the West, like Arizona.
India has transformed. The biggest change from India in
That's my guess.
Is the sheer scale.
That's my guess.
Modi's frenzied popularity in Gujarat would start to transfer across India precisely due to this commitment to building roads, building airports.
What do I prefer, toilet paper or jet spray?
Skyscrapers,
jet spray.
Railroads, semiconductor factories, nuclear power plants.
Toilet paper, I don't feel nearly as clean.
Just check out how much more brighter India is from over a decade.
Wow.
India is literally lighting up. Sometimes it's difficult to believe how much infrastructure Modi has actually built. And I know I sound like a WhatsApp uncle here, so I'll give you the stats. In 2014, India had 91,000 kilometers of national highways. By 2024, it had expanded by 60% to 146,000 kilometers. That's the equivalent of paving.
Do I use a jet spray? Yes, I use a bidet. I like my bidet. Whenever I travel and I don't have my bidet, I don't feel nearly as clean.
A road around.
You're just smearing shit back there.
Remember those classic videos of like 45 Indians on top of a railway cart? Well, that doesn't happen anymore because 45,000 kilometers of Indian railways have been electrified, allowing higher speed, haul capacity, and of course, safety. India had 74 airports in 2014. 10 years later, it doubled to 159.
Wow.
Almost a new airport opening every month. Its port
That's more than double.
Doubled, an 87% increase, while its turnaround time went from being the slowest in Asia to faster than Singapore. Look, again, I could mouth off these statistics all day about how India is building.
So I'm saying India in 2 decades is going to be insane.
But the reason this makes Modi so popular is because infrastructure strengthens India and Indians. Roads, railways, and electricity are reaching remote villages for the first time ever in history. This is genuinely momentous stuff. Like, it doesn't matter what you think of Modi. These are hard facts and concrete progress for all Indians. Modi's Gujarat model was now a national model, and this was not easy to do. In 2014, India was facing rampant inflation and collapsing back-end.
Hopefully you'll be alive by then. Unless you're an old man, I think this is going to happen in 2 to 3 decades. I think India is going to be insane.
The percentage of government spending on capex or
just such a young population that is becoming of age at the right time for the infrastructure to be built, for pride in their country.
Popularity does not cut it. Even
it won't be a straight line, but
has trouble liberalizing the Indian economy.
Like I
Every
said,
reformer
I
who has
fully
done it
believe
prior in
India in
India
2 to 3
has lost their
decades is going to be
subsequent election.
insane.
Prior, Modi tried to execute reforms in land and labor, which quickly had to be rolled back. Even his recent push for agricultural reforms ended in a very public failure. And while he has conducted other reforms, like in
Well,
banking or
young
unified
Lord,
national sales tax
wait a
or
little bit.
GST, this lack of economic liberalization is a stain on his record and holds back India's potential as a global power. So Modi today is actually looking east for inspiration. Decades ago, Deng Xiaoping faced a similar scenario of a China resisting reform. So we decided to test them out in a few special economic zones and cities in southern China. Fishing villages and backwater towns would be declared tax-free zones with relaxed regulations, greater economic autonomy, and investment incentives.
Yeah,
After a
people
while,
start building
places
and
like
investing
Shenzhen,
money there.
Guangzhou, and Shanghai started to grow.
Wow.
Wildly, in fact.
Wow.
The rest of China looked at them firstly with envy, then with awe, and finally with emulation. Deng convinced other Chinese
China's just
provinces to
different.
reform, and capitalism took root in the world's
I mean,
biggest
look at
communist
China,
country.
dude.
Modi's trying to replicate this capitalist experiment now.
Not gonna lie, Modi
By
has the
pushing
best beard.
states to enact reforms in land, labor, agriculture, and
Out of a lot
business,
of the politicians,
Modi wants
too,
to
he looks
showcase
the
capitalist
healthiest.
Success stories to the rest of India. Right now, places in western and southern India are really taking this to heart. Investment and growth is exploding in these regions, and this effect is contagious. Places in the north, like Uttar Pradesh and Assam in the northeast, are now embracing similar policies. Along with this, the central government is incentivizing investment in things like manufacturing with subsidies and deregulation. Just recently, India hit its highest PMI in the last 2 decades, signaling a massive success in business.
If Rahul
activity
Gandhi
and
wasn't
production.
born
This
in
is
the
super
Gandhi
weird.
family,
But
he
beyond
wouldn't
the
have been a
numbers, how does this
politician.
actually relate
Do you think
to
Congress some kind of
It is because
matriarchy
these
going
moves
on?
dare Indians to dream,
Definitely some
to
type of
build,
like
to hope,
elite
and to not
group
be
of people.
complacent. In India, they call it a chalta hai.
Yo,
attitude.
what's up, nerd?
Whatever goes and nothing will change. And for decades, Indians were told to settle, but Modi said not to settle. He said it's time to build. I think ultimately it's this infusing of self-belief that really endears Modi to Indians. And the idea of self-belief is a great place to hop into our most controversial segment of the video on why Narendra Modi is so popular. It's nationalism.
That Indian patriotism.
So first, we have to address the elephant in the room.
Okay.
2002.
Yeah.
On February 27th, 2002, a train carrying Hindu pilgrims, men, women, and children, was set on fire in the town of Godhra, Gujarat. Post-mortem reports say this was pre-planned by local Muslim extremists. Modi was just 4 months.
It's always one religion, huh? It's always one religion. I guess it's not always them, but when shit goes down, it happens to they always tend to be around. Absolutely
Quickly
insane.
broke out across Gujarat. Modi called for extra police forces from adjacent states, then ruled by the Congress Party, but they refused. Riots between Hindus
Parasites
and
on
Muslims
this
continued
earth.
to burn the state. Eventually, Modi got troops in to calm the state down, but the damage was
Yep,
done.
the most peaceful
Over 1,000
religion,
people
at it
were killed,
again.
Mostly Muslims, but a large number of Hindus as well. Modi was labeled as a communal bigot by the Indian and international media. But for Gujaratis, Modi had demonstrated an iron will to quell the spiraling situation. He was also unapologetic about the Hindu role in the riots. Modi was quick to point out the inhumanity displayed in Godhra by Muslim extremists.
Yeah.
Critics, on the other hand, claimed that his defense carried Islamophobic rhetoric and that he purposefully let the riots go on to persecute Muslims.
Do you realize how crazy that sounds? Like, think about that logically. Think about everything that we know about this guy. Does that make sense? No. They are just constantly the problem for being such a peaceful and smart and sophisticated thing. They act like a bunch of barbaric, low IQ fucking monkeys.
The Congress Party demanded Modi's resignation, but Modi
Of course they
remained
did.
defiant, accusing the INC of minority appeasement. Keep this in mind for later. The Congress Party then proceeded with a criminal investigation of Modi, but the Supreme Court found Modi innocent in multiple investigations. There just wasn't enough evidence. And again here, we have to look at the data. Check out the graph of Modi's time as Prime Minister. Communal riots have sharply declined during his term, a far cry from the tumultuous and riot-strewn period of the Congress Party. Anyways, Gujarat was demonized as a bigoted and backward state across India, but Modi decided to move forward and executed development under the famous Gujarat model. But how does this tie into nationalism? Well, Modi was accused of being a Hindu nationalist here, and well, he literally is. But what does that really mean? That's what we have to understand here and how Hindu nationalism makes Modi more popular.
Because he's proud of India. Yes, is India a perfect country that has never done anything wrong in its past? Of course not, right? But you don't sit there and focus on your losses and sit there and wallow in your pity of all the shit that's been wrong. You focus on all the things that India has done right, and how it's grown and how it's blossomed. And even in the face of all of this despair and all this craziness, good things have come out and blossomed and built from that. Like, that's what you focus on.
Hindu nationalism rose in India as a reaction to a twisting of secularism. In India, Hindu temples, schools, and institutions have regular government interference and extraction, while Muslim and Christian places of worship, schools, and institutions are free from the government. Muslims and Christians also have separate civil legal codes. I don't know about you, but this does not sound like secularism to me. And these are just a few examples of many. This imbalance in how religions are treated fueled resentment from Hindus. And that's where Modi's charges of minority appeasement resonate. And for the past millennium, Muslims and Christians have been the elites of India. Muslim empires like the Mughals systematically persecuted Hindus, destroying Hindu temples, and in some cases conducted forcible conversions, while the British
So peaceful. What a peaceful religion.
Raj, an administration that heavily favored Christians, dismantled indigenous industries and institutions. There's a reason that the northern half of the Indian subcontinent has been almost wiped clean of pre-Islamic temples. History weighs heavily. So in this way, Hindu nationalism has become a fulcrum of indigenous resistance against foreign oppressors. It is India's version of decolonization. Modi has framed himself as a leader of Hindu nationalism against the old elites of India, those brown Englishmen who haughtily insult Hinduism and India's indigenous way of life, breaking Hindus up by caste and encouraging extremism in minority communities. Between 2004 to 2014, an average of 1,500 Indians would die from terrorism every year. Terror attacks were almost a bi-monthly affair, the vast majority being Islamist and left-wing extremists. After Modi, terrorism was crushed. Most of these would be in Kashmir, and that itself is on its last legs after Modi revoked special rights favoring Kashmir's Muslim population, bringing secularism to the region for the first time in India's history. These are tangible things for the average Indian. Indians don't have to fear a car bomb in a city.
You're streaking, Kiki. You're streaking.
Or Maoists burning down a random village in India's hinterlands. Just recently, India's largest left-wing terror movement, the Naxalites of the Communist Party of India, have officially surrendered to Modi. At its peak, the movement terrorized 1/3 of India, but in 2025, its hold has been reduced to just a handful of districts. This show of strength makes Indians believe that they themselves are strong and do not have to tolerate extremism. Modi has infused reverence of local Indian religions into the Indian state. He has encouraged the Indian state to protect, promote, and preserve Indian religious traditions, whether via ancient texts, popularizing yoga, sacralizing the new Indian parliament with Hindu religious rituals. Modi values Indian religious traditions in a way no prior prime minister has. And it's not just dharmic religions. Modi has made a point to reach out to local Indian sects of Islam and Christianity to promote more pluralistic Indian versions versus foreign radical ones that continue to seep into India. But Modi's crown achievement on the nationalism front has probably been Ram Mandir. The original Ram Mandir, one of the holiest sites in Hinduism, was destroyed in the 1500s by the first Mughal emperor Babur. Babur built a mosque atop it as a symbol of conquest and humiliation towards Hinduism. For centuries, the site remained a sore spot for Hindus. In 1992, a saffron wave engulfed India as Hindu activists destroyed the mosque, sparking riots across the country and a long legal case. In 2019, the Supreme Court awarded the site back to Hindus, along with allotting land elsewhere for a mosque. With the reclamation of Ram Mandir, Modi etched himself into the history of Indian civilization. But beyond purely religious stuff, Modi has used nationalism.
I can't weigh on that. I am not. I cannot be biased when it comes to
and development across the country. Modi expanded
to Islam.
BJP's footprint. A party previously more popular in certain upper caste and urban centers into lower caste communities and rural areas of India. Hindu nationalism paired with development became a powerful political force, causing Modi to win 3 elections in a row, something that hasn't happened since India's first prime minister. What makes Modi popular is that nationalism is not like an expression of bigotry. It's a culmination of pride, unity, and dignity. And I think it's that element of dignity where we could really hone in to answer our question. Why is Narendra Modi so popular?
2.
What ultimately makes Modi popular is that so many Indians can see themselves in him.
Did I know that BJP has its own waffen? What is that?
In his shoes long ago. The religious grandmother watched Modi open a long-awaited Ram Mandir.
I watched 2 videos, Raji.
Heard of how Modi made
this is our second one.
State. The overly online and slightly autistic defense enthusiast has seen how Modi struck back against terrorism by unleashing Indian missiles on Pakistan.
Operation Sindoor.
Modi has become a thali for his supporters. There's something for everyone. But I think all of these constituents have one thing in common, and that's aspiration. Aspirant Indians who want a better India actually believe that it will become better. They believe
that's very fair. That's a very fair take. And with India's young population being tied to the internet now, because once you're tied to the internet, you can't unplug yourself from it. I've said this in this video. I think in the next 2 to 3 decades, India is just going to continue to grow in terms of infrastructure, in terms of world prevalence, within its. I've already said infrastructure, so like I'm very excited to see what India becomes. It could be like a little China here soon.
They believe in socioeconomic mobility. They believe in national pride. They believe in hope. They like seeing Indian companies succeed.
Yes,
They
Dix.
like seeing Indians building and innovating. They like seeing
Russia
India's
banned
place in the
YouTube,
world
Instagram,
rise.
WhatsApp,
They're
Telegram.
not the types of Indians who are just obsessed with getting their
Russia
own
did?
and staying in their pond. They
Really?
want India to conquer the ocean. In this way, Modi's humble origins and determined personality, facing down corrupt dynasties and cynical politics, has endeared him to so many. Combining religion and modernity,
You really don't know
Modi has
SS or
crafted
SA?
An idea of a new India, an idea of aspiration, of religious pride, a forward-looking tech hub,
Not off the
old
top of my
India
head.
cynicism,
Super
fear of
Saiyan.
elites and rent-seeking. Ultimately, Modi's many faces
Super
all
Ascension.
reflect a single Indian yearning.
South
Something
Sudan,
very
South
simple,
Africa?
but very big. The dream
See, Sticks,
of a better
he doesn't even know. I mean, that kind of makes sense on why Modi is so popular. At least one guy did research and found that Babur destroyed the temple. Modi gave 100 millions of people back human dignity, and you can't put a price on that. Absolutely based. I mean, true. Haters forget that during his years, Naxalism is almost gone and East India is not neglected. Kashmir is now absorbed in India and millions of people are lifted out of poverty. I mean, ultimately, Modi did give hundreds, and I mean hundreds of millions of people basic human rights, dignity, and allowed them to live on their own 2 feet. You can't put a price on that. And like to get better, to have infrastructure, to give more opportunities that were given to them, that is great. He is likely the first person in centuries to show India what rapid development actually looks like. Not the token, not the textbook kind, but progress driven by genuine intent and urgency. True. Oh, it's cold.
29 degrees outside.
It's 29 degrees outside.
It's
Burr.
cold.
A burr.
I can't sit.
You gotta go?
I gotta get going.
You gotta get going?
Yeah.